the weekly recap, weekly look ahead, sit down, Knights of the Round Table campfire discussion. Uh,
As we've
I've
titled the
lost track
social
of.
Sunday stream.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. The live Sunday stream. So, I mean, what can we say about last week? Obviously, it was, if you're living under a rock, big election week for the United States. Highly contested as it was kind of expected to be. Um, Market didn't actually play out how I thought. I actually thought the market would be kind of bearish or at least kind of stale Monday and Tuesday, and they weren't at all. Uh, Quite bullish, in fact. Same
Yeah, like we
thing.
said in our last video, we were expecting it to be a lull week. We weren't expecting much action, and Monday
Yeah,
morning it
unless
was
the
just
president, yeah, unless the president was announced. That's what we were expecting
yep.
when we talked about it last week. President never got announced, so surprisingly, the market was quite bullish, especially weed stocks. Um, Strangely enough, Canadian weed stocks, the American weed stocks did quite well. If you'd swung any of those from the beginning of the week into the end of the week, you would have been, sitting at 10 to 20% gains on any of them. But shit, the Canadian weed stocks, ACB, Tilray, 100% gains on those. Sundial did pretty
CGC,
well. Yeah,
Prawn.
CGC did well. I mean, all those stocks that really you wouldn't think you should have even been looking at just because they had nothing to do with the United States election. Um, just kind of went crazy. And then APVO was a play as well, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much throughout the week, but it really took off on Friday after that. Yeah, so I mean, not so much Monday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday it had steady gains. Friday just went stupid in the after hour session as it squeezed. Um, Expecting a lot more out of that on Monday as well. I know JD, who's in here, he's looking forward to playing ATVO in some way, shape, or form uh, on Monday. I don't know if I'll be touching it, but yeah, something definitely something that you could make some money off of. It's just a lot of risk involved in that. But yeah, that was a play all week, and then just went crazy. Um, there were a lot of earnings uh, winners. The tech stocks went crazy all week long. The Nasdaq was nuts. The Dow and the S&P didn't even come close to competing to what the Nasdaq was putting out. Um, Kind of expect that to continue going into the next week, uh, especially now Biden is the announced elected president. That's still not official. It's going to be a while before that's actually official. But yeah, so I would say with that going on, your oil plays and stuff like that, probably not a great play. I think the stock market, just based off the futures last I looked at them were up. Um,
350.
yeah, yeah, they were up 2% last I looked at them, and right now they're sitting still around the same 1.5%, 2%, 2% up. But that's pretty good in the evening here. We'll see how they look tomorrow morning, but I haven't looked at the oil futures necessarily. But that's still not a play that I would be looking at because Biden and the Democratic Party are all about the EV, climate control, and all that kind of stuff. So that's one sector I would probably stay away from this week unless you're planning to short it. Uh, but every other sector I expect to be really hot this week. To be honest, I I can't come up with one that would probably be better than the others. EV plays are definitely going to be playing really well. Weed stocks continue to play really well, but the market itself is really really bullish. Um, So anyway, uh, y'all can any thoughts, comments, you, Jay, or
I was gonna
Pat,
mention, like, especially
Adam?
now that Trump's no longer pumping the market. I mean, watching those biotechs, it's gonna be interesting how there's a turn here. I mean, obviously FDA approvals, things like that, there's still gonna be some action through the news, but there's not gonna have these running on sympathy or off of just a little mention through someone else. I mean, yeah, you're still gonna have your chat room pumps, but you're not gonna have
Mm-hmm.
as much because of Trump being in office.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Biden's definitely going to be trying to get things in the right direction, but it's not going to be so focused on vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. I'm going to push this. It's going to happen ASAP, but it's 5 months later and still nothing.
No, I think it's going to be a shift, honestly. Um, I think last week was a perfect example of
Mm-hmm.
what the shift will be. And I think one of the things that I've learned, not only in this group, but just as studying from March up until now as a trader, is you kind of have to see the trends coming and be ahead of them. And just kind of like looking at how everybody's focus shifted, you can see the shift going into sectors. So we're going kind of backwards to where we were at the beginning of COVID, where different sectors were hot at different periods, whereas under Trump, there was more of a longevity in terms of sectors that were hot. It was periods of time. It could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where that sector would be hot, and then we would move. I think there's going to be a lot more hot potato sector hotness with Biden until he's actually in office,
Oh,
and he's
definitely.
kind of laid for once he lays forth what his plans are and what his intentions are and what he wants to dabble in. I think that's when it'll be more longevity in sectors, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. But right now, I expect a lot of hot potato. So you kind of just have to, kind of pay attention, be quick, and be ready for it.
Yep. I think we're going to see, obviously, we are switching, doing a party shift as well. The Senate is going to be, it's right now, I think last I saw, it's pretty split even. I think it was 47-47 last I saw. Um, but you're also from the actual White House, you're going from Republican to Democratic. So with that note as well, you're going to be able to look back historically when last Democratic president was office, see how things were moving, what sectors were hot. Now, granted, things have changed a bit, developed technology wise, economically. We've also taken an economical bump here, but I think we can see history repeat as far as a Democratic president being in office as well. So it's going to be interesting to, like you said, see how things kind of take that shift and move. Because, yeah, he's obviously got his mindset to certain aspects. Auto and EV is going to be probably the big one while he's in office, in my opinion. Just because that's global warming is something that's kind of one of those key elements tied into it. And Trump was not really for any of that. You got some good EV plays while he was in office, but it was more the biotechs, the pharmaceuticals, the
In a
therapeutics.
large way, that's good though. In a
Yes,
large way, that's very
definitely.
good. And the reason I say that is because there's going to be a lot of smaller plays, low floaters, lesser known names that haven't quite had the opportunity to run, and we're going to see a
Exactly.
lot more of those off-brand, low floater, no names that have been sitting there that haven't been getting that attention. That'll now get that attention, just like the biotechs that had those no namers, those one offers that nobody was really focused on. They kind of popped up and just
Aviation.
ran. Right. We're gonna get those runners now, but from a different aspect. We'll probably get those drone plays, and we'll probably
Mm-hmm.
get those energy plays, those no names. So there's gonna be opportunity for low float runners. We just have to wait and see what his plan is and what his focus is in
Yep.
the next 6, 12
Patience is
months, and that'll
key.
kind of right. It'll lay the groundwork for where you need to go. in terms of your plays and what setups you need to look for.
Right.
Sorry, didn't mean to dominate the discussion.
No, no.
No, man,
That's
that's
that's the
that
point of
that was
this.
that was definitely that was the whole point.
What you got up there
Um,
on Aurora?
I was just looking at Friday's chart. That's all. Uh, One thing that haven't released this yet. This is a setup that I've been working on for a while now. Different scanners. The This particular layer is pretty well set. I may work with the watch list columns a little bit more, um, but I'm still working on some of the scanners for it. But I was just checking out the ACV squeeze. So basically, the way that this would work, this is on a 1 minute chart. 1 minute squeezes are probably your least reliable, just like a candlestick pattern works the same. The larger the time frame, the more reliable the squeeze could be to the upside or the downside. So this is the squeeze meter, the TTM squeeze indicator down at the bottom. It's got downtrending arcs, uptrending arcs, similar to a MACD histogram. If I'm not mistaken here, the red, when you're looking at the downtrending, is actually a downtrending red on the histogram, but whereas yellow, it's actually trending up, even though it's below the zero line, so to speak, green line. Likewise, light blue, it's trending up, and dark blue is down on the upside histogram. You really want to pay attention to those when you're trying to find if a squeeze is going to fire in a certain direction that you're looking for. The green and red indicators down on that line are the actual squeeze indicators. So if I zoom into this, you'll see it. They're actually dots, which is each individual candlestick or each tick, so to speak. And this particular squeeze, it squeezed really good through here. I wouldn't have played it at any of this point, just because of the MACD. I use the MACD quite a bit. It's trending below. The fast is brighter colored line, and the slow is the darker colored line. So it's trending below the slow. The fast is trending below the slow. I don't really want to buy it. And then it is above the zero line, that gray line on the MACD. That's usually a good sign. Anything below the zero line, you kind of don't want to even mess with the MACD. It can be very tricky to gauge when it's below the zero line. But you'll see just as it fired the squeeze when it went to green, it's actually uptrending at that point. It did squeeze again, and that's why I'm saying I'm not necessarily sure I would have played it there. Playing it here, where the stochastic indicator is a little bit higher and more in your favor. Well, actually, they're about the same, coming to look at it. But either way, that's what you're looking for. You want that. That's a general good sign. First of all, you've got these uptrending arcs on the squeeze indicator, not the downtrending ones, because it can, like you see at this squeeze right here, it fired down. You see that as it's going to where it fires that squeeze, where it turns green, the histogram is already trending down. That's not a spot. Maybe if you want to short it, you can short it there, knowing that it's going to squeeze down like that, like it does right here. But when everything else lines up, your MACD lines up, you've got to have a decent amount of volume, compared to the rest of the day or whatever, whatever time you're looking at, after hours or whatever. But generally, that just is a general sign of a good squeeze. You never know how big the squeeze is. There's no real way to indicate how big the squeeze is going to be using these indicators. So you just have to play it from that point. As far as the sell point goes, yeah, as far as your sell point goes or whatever, play it how you would, however you would want to play it at that point. and that's just on the 1 minute. So the way that I've got my setup working, and it worked pretty well. I tested it on Thursday and Friday. Thursday it worked extremely well with ALMT and APVO. Worked really well with those on Thursday, and then Friday it worked pretty well on some of them. You just have to wait for the right setup. So even in this case with ACB, I wouldn't necessarily have played those. It's not necessarily the right setup. It would have been hard to gauge. Now once it fired off like this, three green ticks in, and the histogram's way up, your MACD is way up. You might be able to jump in there. It's just everything wasn't necessarily lining up for me. You're going into midday lunch hour during that squeeze. Not my favorite spot to play any stock. But the way that this would work is, so I've got some scanners set up, these what are called master views. You can't see them. They're based on volume. So I've got a master views version 1, version 3, and version 5, both with 50K volume and 500K volume. 50K volume I'm going to use more pre-market or during the earlier hours, and 500K volume later in the day. But what they'll do is version 1 is on a 1 minute squeeze, version 3 is a 3 minute squeeze, and version 5 is a 5 minute squeeze. And it adds them into these watch lists. And you've actually got these columns on the end of the watch list that is a 1 minute squeeze, 3 minute squeeze, 5 minute, and 15 minute squeeze. And so you wouldn't even have to really look at the charts necessarily. You could actually gauge it just on the watch list. It works on mobile too. You just don't get the colored columns. You'd have to understand what the numbers mean. So basically there's numbers in each of these. In the red, it's 11, 12, and 13. Those are the possibilities. The black number is 7, black column. And then green is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I believe 6 well. And so those are basically just numbers of telling you how long it's been in that squeeze. So if it's at 11, just started the squeeze. 12, it squeezed 2 ticks. If it's at 13, it's squeezed for 3 ticks, and it doesn't go any higher than that, even if it's squeezed for 7, 8, 9 ticks in a row. It stays at 13. And the key really is the green one, because the green one counts up from when it's fired, when a squeeze is fired. So if you're watching, you've got all these on your watch list. They don't disappear from the watch list once they fire the squeeze. I'm not sure how long it is, but it's at least like 5 ticks. As you can see, there's 4 right here. There's a 3 right here. They'll sit on them when they fire off the squeeze. And that's when you really want to look at it. When it goes to 1, like curl F right here, squeezed on the 1 minute, you're going to want to look at it. Now, in this case, you can see it squeezed down. Your MACD was trending down on that squeeze. Your histogram's trending down. You can barely see it. And it's squeezed down. So that wouldn't be one that you'd want to play. But had it been a squeeze up, it gives you an entry. You already have a confirmation that squeeze is going to run to the upside, not the downside. Similar to, here's another downside squeeze, a massive downside squeeze, and it squeezed big time to the down. And when I say squeeze, also it has nothing to do with short squeeze, like not a short squeeze, nothing to do with shorting a stock or anything like that. It just has to do with volume metrics, price metrics, the way that the candlesticks are, changing up and down, on whether the stock is considered squeezing or consolidating, as a lot of people would say it. So a lot of people would say this is consolidation all through here, but this right here, where it's all in the green on that TTM squeeze meter, while it is consolidation by the term of consolidation, it's not considered squeezing, consolidating at that point. But when it actually turns red, that's when it's squeezing to the point where the buyers and sellers, somebody's going to lose the war. It's going to go up or it's going to go down. You just have to know your other indicators. That's why I wouldn't use it by itself. It works really well with MACD if you're using the short MACD that I use, which is 20, 30, and well, 5, 20, and 30. Works really well as far as indicating downside or upside squeeze using that indicator. So as those scanners come up, I can click on them. I can add them if it's a serious mover, add them to my Friday or that I want to. I do have an engulfing candle scan, couple other scans, one that I actually just created. This would be more of an alert. I don't know if it works yet. Test it on Monday. But the idea of this is to play the bounce scanner. And so it uses an engulfing candle scan, and that's why you can't use it as a watch list or a scanner itself, because once that engulfing candle goes away, which is the next tick, it removes that stock from the scanner. So you have to use it as an alert that sends you a text message, or it goes to this message center that's up here, the alert that you see there. But basically, the idea of the scan is, and you can change a lot of these numbers. So it's any stock that's priced over $1. I don't care the max price for this type of scan that I'm looking for. Any stock that's actually 20% loser or more, or worse, I guess, if you want to say it. So 20%, 30%, 40% negative gain. Then the volume, 50,000, you can see that throughout the day. And then shares, 50 million. So it's going to have at least a float of 50 million. And then it's got a bullish engulfing candle, which signifies a reversal. So this is basically looking for a stock that's cracked a significant amount. I go with 20%. You can change that to whatever you want. But generally speaking, when a stock bounces off a crack like that, it's only going to make about half of the. And I want to make 10% on trades, so I want at least a 20% crack with that engulfing candle signifying the reversal, and then I'm going to play it for the 10% bounce and get out. That's really the idea of that. Hopefully it works. I don't know if it will. If you don't know how to use Thinkorswim, I'll actually show you that real quick. So on my watch list, you can actually go, you could probably go to MarketWatch and do this too, but it's easier this way in my opinion. So on my watch list, I can actually go find that play the bounce. And then click play the bounce again, alert when scan results change. I don't care when it's been removed necessarily. I want to know when it's been added, and then change however you want, sound, text message, email, whatever you want. And that's pretty much it. And just click create, and it will alert me anytime that one's been added to that watch list. So I'm not ever going to really have that as a watch list that I'm watching all day. It's just going to be alert that comes up in this message center. I'll see it. I can immediately type in the ticker to my chart, look at it, make a decision on whether that's something I want to play. That's one of the scanners that I'm trying to come up with. There's a couple other scanners that I'm working with that work really well, that I'm hoping will work really well to basically have a Thinkorswim setup that you could, sleep in, do no research, wake up at whatever time in the day, basically just log in at lunch, log in at whatever time, and get a list of stocks to look at, immediately play something off of a squeeze indicator or a bounce, or coming up with a bunch of different scanners as well that work with that. I do have a grid also. I didn't show that. I've got my chart that I use, but I also have a grid that's set up with the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, and 15 minute squeezes all for the same stock that I'm clicking on my watch list. It's got the MACD as well, because that's the one that's most useful as far as the indicator there. And it's got my bullish reversal candles, bullish and bearish reversal candles that I have found to work the best. Not all of them work. The big chart here, the single chart, has all of the reversal candles that I've really actually found. And then this one, like I said, has just the ones that I like that work the best. But just to give you an example, so ONCT, it doesn't work. The squeeze indicator does not work every time, meaning it doesn't pick up every squeeze, so to speak. So ONCT squeezed really hard on Friday afternoon, after hours. I had been watching it actually all day. Did not play it. It's unfortunate. It just didn't spike at the time that I was available to play anything. But if you look at the squeeze indicators, you'll notice that it squeezed a little bit on the 3-minute and a little bit on the 5-minute before it started anything. So it started this climb after hours, technically right here, when that 5-minute squeeze fired off. And it just continued to squeeze all the way up to $8. Kind of did the same thing on the 15-minute squeeze, but it was a little bit earlier. As I said, the same thing on the 3-minute. It fired pretty much right there, right before the beginning of all the squeeze. And then on the 1-minute, it actually only fired after the first, pullback, basically. So the 1-minute actually fired again. This one technically fired to the downside. It didn't really go down that much, but it fired again right before the big squeeze on the 1-minute. So ONCT, if that was one that you were watching, like I said, that was one that was actually on my Friday watch list. So I was watching that all day long. But that would have been pretty much an easy play, and that would have been the setup that I was looking for, like what I was talking about with ACB before, ACB not being really the squeeze setup that I was looking for. This particular one would probably have been the play that I would have waited on. Basically, it's uptrending all day, nothing serious, but no real downtrend throughout the day. But going into this part of the day, everything was on the up. MACD was looking good. Everything as far as what I was looking for was just looking good as far as setting up for that squeeze, especially on the second 1-minute squeeze right here. After it's already been trending like that with an uptrend, you've got the MACD way up right after it squeezed. That would have been a great place to take the ride, even from 5 or 6, up to 7, 8, whatever you could get out of that at the top. But same thing, APVO, if you look at APVO on the squeeze indicator for Friday, which also squeezed super, super hard. And that's why it has nothing to do with short squeezing, so to speak. There we go. It didn't really squeeze at all. Squeezed a little bit earlier in the day, but it downtrended after on all of these charts. So right before the big squeeze on APVO, there was nothing as far as the squeezing. Totally would have missed that play. It wouldn't even been on your radar if you're using the setup, which, that's, you win some, you lose some. That's why you don't have FOMO when you miss out on something. If it wasn't part of your watch list or on your radar, whatever, you can't watch in everything. 8,000 stocks on. That's why you have scanners, watch lists that kind of look for what you're looking for, what you're trying to play. But there were plenty of plays throughout the day. SNDL, I love the 15-minute. The 15-minute SNDL, you could have caught it, 30 cents right in here all the way up to 54, right before it squeezed really hard. I do have SNDL as one of my top watches this coming week coming up. I really like that one. Low price, low float, weed stock. So it's not an American weed stock, but that hasn't. So
Those are the plays, though.
Yeah, that hasn't mattered at all. Tilray did really well. Tilray squeezed here, just like ACP squeezed in the middle of the day, kind of going into lunch hour, midday. But you can see it squeezed really well on all of them. All of this 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute caught at the beginning, all the way in pre-market before anything. 15-minute didn't catch anything at all. 15-minute is more of a longer term anyway. You can use this squeeze indicator for swinging too. The setup that I'm going to put out is for mainly intraday trading, but you can easily, I've got the columns actually built into this for the longer time frame. And so you could actually have a watch list with all of the time frame of just these squeeze columns if you wanted to. And it would show you that information. And it's really useful in the longer time frames to find a stock that's going to be a good swing and not necessarily a day trade, but phenomenal at finding that stuff. As long as you're playing, especially on swinging stock, you want to be playing an uptrending stock. You don't want to play a stock that's downtrending and squeezing, hoping that it's going to bounce. Generally speaking, it's not going to happen. If it squeezes, it's going to continue squeezing the same way that it's squeezing the entire time. It may reverse. Eventually, it is going to reverse. All stocks reverse. But your best option to be playing the uptrend and then follow a squeeze. And that's where I like Tilray right here. Like I said, the 5 minute here caught the beginning in the pre-market. But maybe that wouldn't have been the best place. I mean, it was uptrending since the beginning of the pre-market. So it's not a terrible place to play. But the actual next squeeze, which the 3 minute caught after the first bounce, would have probably been a better play, just because it's already been have more of a termination. It's going to continue going. Yeah, and so I will release all this information in Thinkorswim platform area. Probably not tonight. Still ironing a few things out. I want to kind of get scanners set up that pretty much that it's an all-in-one kind of setup. And then I'll have like a full little walkthrough of how to do it. Probably a video walkthrough. I don't think I'm going to type it out, but video walkthrough on how to really utilize that particular setup. It definitely worked really well, like I said, on APVO. I don't know if we can go back. Yeah, I'm not gonna fuck with it. It worked really well on APVO and ALTM Thursday. Like you could just, because both of those were uptrending stocks all day long, and you could just play those squeezes, every single one of them, pretty much announced available to play and make a nice chunk. I really like this indicator, just because it seems to be the most predictable to get me a large, at least that 10% looking for. Still like my inside candles. I still use inside candles. I still use everything I've been talking about recently. All of those indicators are still in here in all of these setups, and that's part of what, if you're going to use indicators like this and technical analysis, so to speak, you need to use multiple things. You can't just focus on one and say, hey, I'm going to just focus on RSI and use that indicator to make my buy and sell entries. And it's just not a good idea. You're just going to end up blowing up your account. You really need to either just play price action, like a lot of people do, especially if you're not affected by the PVP rule. You can scalp price action all day. using just volume and candle. You don't really use anything. But if you're looking for the big plays and you're looking for swings and you're looking to try to get out of that $25,000 PDT rule, indicators kind of your best friend, trying to make those bigger gains, make those determinations. So you really got to use everything you can to give you information on when to make that good play, and that's the most important thing. You could play all you want, but when you're affected by the PDT rule, you're only going to be making so many day trades every time. And so if you aren't using all the indicators to your advantage like that, you're just going to waste too many day trades. Easily do a lot better, game wise, winning percentage wise. You're always going to lose. Everybody's going to lose. It's never going to work out perfectly, but that's why you use as many indicators as you can actually understand, because that's a lot of the problems for people is understanding indicators, and that's why I have actually built this over the past probably, when did we start doing this, Stas? 2 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, probably 2 months
if not
started.
a little bit longer.
Really messing with all this stuff. And so I've kind of added an indicator and studied that single indicator for a whole week, and then added another indicator, added another one, and added another one, and whatever, and fine-tuned and got rid of the stuff that I didn't like, or what have you. And so I still use all that. Everything's still, that's the beauty of it. As you actually study the market and watch the market and look at your charts, understand what you're looking at, don't change stuff all the time. If you change stuff all the time, go with the same color schemes all the time for your line. Don't change, other than getting rid of indicators and adding indicators, don't necessarily change any of the colors and patterns that.
You gotta set your defaults.
Yeah, because you're going to get used to it, and you're going to understand it better, and then comes to making that day trade or whatever, making that play, you're going to have that many more indicators to your advantage to give you that A+ setup that you're looking for. If everything doesn't line up, then, and you miss a big play, like I said, APVO, if I was using the squeeze indicator only, APVO would have been on my watch list. It would have been something I was watching. So there's a possibility that if I wasn't using the squeeze indicator, it lined up for everything. The MACD goes way up right here. As soon as it went over the 20 EMA, which is the dotted line, as soon as the yellow line crossed over that, which you can't even see it, somewhere right here. So when the yellow line crosses over the pink line, that's an indicator. That's your fast moving average going over the slow moving average, golden cross. Your MACD's up at that time too. So everything else is lining up. It's not necessarily, but if I was just using the squeeze indicator, I would have missed that play. But that's fine too. If you miss a play because it doesn't line up with your particular setup, so what? You miss a play. But that's also where you could maybe next time be, a little bit more mindful of that necessarily. Not necessarily where you want FOMO to make you make a bad decision and enter a play when it's not your premium setup that you're looking for. Just make you a little bit more mindful on, other things to look for. Yeah.
You may catch something that you weren't aware of previously, so studying that action definitely does help you in the long run.
Yeah. I will say for the most part, and I'm going to add this, where it's got that spin cycle momentum, goes green and red. I'm going to add that to my grids because I haven't really been using this single chart much. I've been using mainly the grid chart just because it has bullish candlesticks on all the different time frames um, that I like to use for day trading. And then it's got the squeeze indicator for all the different time frames that I like to use for day trading. So I've been kind of using this only. So I'm probably going to add those trend labels up to the top here, because then that'll actually show me the stochastic. The main thing you want to know about the stochastic is whether it's trending up. Your trend is actually the moving average, the 50 moving. That'll tell you if it's above the moving average, below that 50. And then cycle and momentum are the other one. Cycle is stochastic, momentum, or might be vice versa. I forget. Either way.
You're right.
Yeah, I think I'm right. So either way, though, I won't have to have that stochastic indicator necessarily, as I'm paying attention to the green or red cycle. If you're using that, so to speak. But I am really excited to get some other people using these squeeze indicators and seeing how they work for them, because I gotta say it works really well. I don't know if I didn't show you, but the Master Goose, let me see what that scan actually. So the Master Goose scanner, basically it's looking for anything that's a stock that's over 1%. And I know that's not much. You could change it to whatever you want. You can use a 10% gain, whatever. Over $1 to $50, 500,000 volume or more, which I changed that throughout the day. And then low float, 50 million shares or less on the float. And then it's looking for the squeeze alert on the 1 minute. I was using some other things. I tried to add in some other things, see if it could pull a better list of stocks. That seemed to come up with the best list using that. But I'll probably end up changing, fine tuning it a bit. But basically, with that scanner, and I believe the engulfing scanner, that's the other one I really like, the engulfing candle scan. And that's just checking for a bullish engulfing candle. Usually a stock that's up 100% for the day has a bullish engulfing candle. So it pretty much picks up most of the gain as well.
Yeah, I use one of those on the 1, 3, and 5 minute, I believe. I have 3 different versions of it, and
yeah,
it's a nice
and
way
I
to
had
catch
that,
it.
and that's what I'm trying to come up with. So what I really want to come up with, as far as like a master alert, I like my bounce, play the bounce alert. I'm hoping that works out really well. We'll see. But I also want to come up with one that uses these, master goose squeeze scanners, and then adds an engulfing candle to it as well. So not only is it squeezing, but it's got a bullish engulfing candle, or something like that. To that, I'm also looking into some better pre-market scanners that will find gaps a little bit better, as well as scanner where it will actually tell you your profitable range, so to speak. It's only going to give you stocks that are within a profitable range. So if it's bounced between, this dollar amount and this dollar amount, you could total profit so much. Your total profit could only be so much, as far as 10%, 20%, 30%, unless it broke out from that range, which is fine. But what I want to know is if, I don't want to list stocks coming up that it could go from $1.25 to $1.24 and then back to $1.25. That's the range. I don't want that stock. I don't want to look at that.
No,
I'm not going to make any money off that. Whereas if I've got a stock
you don't want
that
those
goes
barcodes.
$1 to $3, that's more in my interest. I may have missed that big spike, but the range of that stock is a lot better. either on the short side or the long side. So I'm trying to come up with a few more different scanners to add to that. Really make this, like I said, work to where you can just log in any time of day and pretty much get a list of stocks, make a play. Make a play, because that's the idea, especially with that squeeze indicator. If I can, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get it to work. But that range, profitable range, combined with the squeeze indicator, is only going to give you stocks that are squeezing with a profitable range that you're looking, as opposed to, this. It's not a very big list. This is the size of those lists on that last particular minute for the day. So they're not even big, huge lists, but some of these are not really, they have no range. I don't know. Clicking. So 451 to 511, that's not too bad. Didn't really have any range throughout the day, but you get the idea. I don't want a stock that really has no range to it at all whatsoever. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So hope to get that out to everybody. You've looked long enough at my Thinkorswim, you could almost make it yourself. The only thing you'll have problems with are these watch list columns. They use a custom code to get that to work, but you might be able to find it.
That you don't have all the different minute time frame scanners.
Yeah, that's true. I've got a skit scanner.
You only showed us
Yeah,
that 1 minute.
well, actually, all these
You got a bunch.
These different scanners. Yeah. So, and I use most of those.
You got a few more than me.
At least at some point in the day, I'll take a look at most of those.
I just went through and deleted like 6 or 7 old scanners, so I just managed to get down to 2 columns, not 3.
Yeah, I need to. I'm pretty sure I actually have some duplicates. Duplicates on there as well. Yeah, highly recommend checking out this TTM squeeze if you haven't gotten a chance. The only thing that I will say about it is that you really need to use multiple time frames. You really need to use this. You don't necessarily need to use 4. Like a 15-minute is not that useful in comparison with the 1 and the 3. I would actually use the 15-minute by itself. But the 1, 3, and the 5 go together really well as far as telling you whether it's really, really going to be a good play for you. Because it will, generally speaking, squeeze, in order. And when they squeeze in order like that, if it's still getting volume and looking to be bullish or bearish if you want to short, that's where it really lies. Everything's squeezing pretty well. So anyway, that's all I really have to talk about. Status, if you've got something you want to talk about.
As I start choking.
Yes, as he starts choking.
Last week, I kind of went over the most recent changes in Discord. I kind of been fine-tuning the bot as far as the news feed and just kind of getting things to automatically kick out. Obviously, we do still have our stock alerts and OTC alert roles that are starting to become more and more used. Let me make sure I have the student role at least on here. Cool. Also, we do have the long and short trading ideas still. now having the five main news sources: Bazinga, CNBC, MarketWatch, Seeking Alpha, and Wall Street Journal. All these are now starting to pull more automatic as far as like their all news feed. So that's going to be something that's going to be a real beneficial plus. In fact, earlier, Goose, when you said in chat something about the futures being up, I mean, I think, up here in the chat actually looking at the embed at the time, but the next few articles I scrolled down, you could just see every few minutes there was an article push saying how many points the Dow futures have been up. And I think it was actually right here, and I was reading the article at the time. So, I mean, it's only a few minute delay as far as when it's coming in. Granted, my time is Western, so plus 3 hours. So that was a 6 minute delay as far as the article actually releasing and it getting pushed to our server. We do have a pretty quick response as far as that because of the higher up uh, status of our server and how much we use. But the biggest thing was I went through a lot of these channels and just started adding in all of our different news feeds. And so anybody can come in and see these and use these. Um, you can always click up here on the title, see the description, jump to that message. I think it might just do it in the background and then just close this. But if you can see it, it'll do it right there for you. You can copy and paste, send it. Right now, I do not have permission. I will fix that just because some of these were automatic news postings before where there was no commands. So I'll fix that CNBC and I believe might be Wall Street Journal as well. But yeah, but all the different commands just with the news coming in, you have your standard news throughout the day. I was actually watching it throughout the week last week and just seeing the Bazinga and CNBC coming in on real time. Those are the two biggest ones, and that's what really instigated me to make the changes on all of them. But having all these commands, just getting any news at your fingertips, you don't have to have multiple browsers open or something like that. I mean, I know obviously, like I'm using right now, it's in a browser, but going in there, hitting your Control K, you can jump to another. It'll help if I can type. You can jump to another channel real quick and easy. See what that news is. Um, but not only that, so obviously we do have our other sections here, FDA and whatnot. We have the scanners as well. Scanners, these are going to be automatically posting at the end of the day, which is great. I've been testing those out. Goose, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to go through them as much. I'm loving it. I've already got my watch list built off of several of them from throughout uh, the weekend, just going through checking scanners. So definitely something that's got bullish and bearish. Definitely check those out if you haven't already. Um, the breakout and surge, those are two pretty good ones in my opinion as far as just finding some good runners. If you're wanting to play some price action or anything like that. But um, really, our biggest change, which I've been using, testing out, a couple other members, Loki Wah, Goose, I think you have too. Just coming in and testing out any quick general information on tickers, whether it's a quick price quote, if you want to know a definition of a stock term that you don't know and nobody's responding to your question because I don't know, whatever the case may be. Finding a 52-week high and low plus the range. I mean, there's several different things, different charts, you name it. Just make sure you're coming through, read it, use the command that it says to use. Usually it's going to be the exclamation mark for anything ticker related, which is going to be through the ticker news. That's any of the news channels, StockBot. As you open up your roles, you will have more of these kind of sections just based on uh, your trading style. So if I went in here and did OTC, I'll get the OTC section as well as the OTC scanner or the volume scanner down here. So there's certain things that are tied in certain ways as far as that actual trading style and then the bonus feature as well. If it's more actual news related, separate where it's a news source or one of these additional kind of news styles, then yeah. Where if it's an actual trading style, um, really kind of these last ones right down here, that's where it's going to really open up. So, but these having the chart, just quick view, things are going to have that 15 to 20-minute delay just based on which market it is. I do have that little disclaimer right up there. NYSE and AMEX are 20-minute, Nasdaq's 15. But I have some custom commands down here at the bottom. This first one, just having short interest info, next ER date, two charts, quick info. All you do is type in exclamation mark joint space and then type in your ticker. You don't need to do a money symbol or anything like that. Same thing with Loki. Uh, he gave a recommendation kind of based off of some general information that he was just looking for. Well, there's a quick little go-to. Same thing, here's 4 different charts. I haven't posted it yet. I just created another one that just does 2 charts. So same thing, just type 2 charts instead of 4 charts, and you'll get I believe it's a 3-minute and a daily chart. So I'll be updating that there. But just these different commands just to just get quick general information. Somebody could be, you could be over in, oop, didn't mean to do that. Control K, that brings up the jump feature, but you can be in the trade chat. Say somebody's in here, mentions a ticker. I think obviously APVO was kind of the most recent one. Go over stock bot. I can then go in uh, two chart, 2 charts, AP. I can't even type tonight. What's going on here? APVO, and it's going to kick back the 2 different charts. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay, but you can see real quick and easy if it's something that you want to jump into. Obviously, this is off of a delay, but just for an example. Same thing, we have the popular commands. They will be listed throughout. Um, Finally, I did add some just fun general uh, general commands for the chat room. So you can come in here, and if you want to set an AFK message, if you have just step away where people at you or something like that. You may have seen Goose or I use that in the past. You can alert an admin or a moderator if there's something important that's going on and there just happens to not be a moderator in the room. You can do simple calculations. You can show a company tweet. So say, for example, Remark, as we've all talked about in the past. Uh,
What?
you can just go in
No.
there and type in their name and it'll pull up their most recent or put there we go. Sorry, the that one's the account, but there's another one that'll pull their Twitter, their most recent tweet. Sorry, that is the tweet. This one's the profile. But calculations, time, translation, weather. Um, you can make larger emojis. Just more little, just kind of fun things just to spice it up a little bit. But there's also help commands if you need help with a command or something. Uh, but yeah, really the biggest thing was using and testing out the stock bot, using those commands. It's truly something else. I put in just kind of some examples throughout as well for like the charts or um, different commands up here. You can see the options. You can do 2 different options, and say if you want 52-week high and 52-week low, you'd get just that. Um, Different things like that. So definitely pretty cool. Been using it a lot. I love it. I've gotten some feedback from some other people as well, some other members, and yeah, it it comes in handy, especially if you're if you're limited on your screen space or performance or anything like that. Yeah, you might have your broker or your trading platform open, plus Discord or your browser or whatever, however you function. But having just that quick jump to where you're in your chat, you're discussing, researching, you don't have to sit there and constantly switching applications or switching windows or something like that. Because me personally, I have Bazinga open, I have Discord, I have Thinkorswim with a couple different windows. Um, Sometimes I have Firefox open just for YouTube, just listen to music, plus my research browser. So I mean, there's multiple things open. I also have enough screens to be able to do all that. Not everybody has that ability, so kind of just advancing it to where anyone that make it easier for people to have that ability, do quick research, find out a float of something instead of having to jump over to FinViz or Yahoo Finance and actually look for it. Just quick and easy. But those scanners as well, having the popular feeds, uh, you are able to see top trending. I think it's either top 10 or top 20 trending from StockTwits. I think that's using exclamation trending ST. Um, but again, that's on the list. And every channel that there is out there, I mean, if you go in, say for example, I'll go and select everything here.
All
Those
these
are all the
features
rules.
and options, are they available on mobile as well?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Everything works across Discord, regardless mobile or web, browser or app. It doesn't matter. Um, you just when you're using, say for example, command, if you're wanting to use StockBot or any of these other channels I was going to show you here in a second, all of them do have their dedicated pinned message with the commands. Just make sure that when you're typing the command, each one is gonna you need to start it with an exclamation mark, specifically when it's ticker related. So if you're trying to pull up a chart, pull up the float, pull up the volume, pull up a chart, whatever it may be, make sure you use that exclamation mark. Don't put a space after it. There, I have noticed a couple people here and there when they have tested it, they'll make the mistake, and especially on mobile, it just automatically puts a space when you put an exclamation mark or a question mark or something like that. So just do make sure that you remove the space, otherwise it won't kick out your result. The ticker itself doesn't matter if it's in all caps or all lowercase, but as far as the command itself, that is going to be specific. So if I have it typed out to where, say for example, trending stock twits, trending is all lowercase, but then ST for stock twits is all uppercase. Sometimes there are certain features like that. It's very particular. And the way that this bot there's actually two different stock bots that we use. One is actually called StockBot, is labeled as Stockmaster in our server. The other one is our Stock Scanner, which is Option FanBot, and that's the one that actually brings the scanners into our server. Well, the Scanner bot is the one that allows us to do the stock twits trending. Well, this one is very particular. You can't change the commands. So that's just one thing I wanted to make note. Um, just if you see it written, that's where you, especially on a computer, you can come in, you can copy and paste. As you can see, I'm highlighting there. But yeah, lowercase, uppercase. That if it has it that way, it's that way for a reason. So just do take that in note. But they all do have these pinned links. So you click that pinned message link, it'll jump right to it. You can come through too. You can see when somebody types a message, it'll keep it there to where if you're not sure what command they use to get those results, it's going to show you that now so you can look at that message previously. So as you can see here, here's three different dividend commands. Exclamation BZ for Bazinga dash DIV. This is actual dividend results where Bazinga divid with an ID instead of just the DIV, that's going to show you trade ideas, dividend trade ideas, where then you come in, use this dividends, that's going to give you the X dividend date. Then you do, I believe, exclamation mark dividend without plural, and then type your ticker, and that's going to give you the dividend information on that ticker. But again, we do have all that up here. There's two different ones for news, and then you can see there's what, 6 different ones right here. That's just going to give you general information. So each general kind of category is built that way, specifically for that type of trader. I mean, you can go into Stockbot and actually use any of these commands. Um, they are working on a feature to where eventually you can actually block it from a certain command from a certain channel. Eventually, once that rolls out, I will go to that just to help kind of keep things clean, keep things kind of designated where they are, um, and for those specific people. Just because, say for example, I don't do much crypto. You can this is kind of my streaming test account here, but I didn't have the crypto turned on. In fact, on my account, I don't see crypto because I'm not a crypto trader. I'll turn it on every once in a while just because I might want to see what people are talking about or something, but I don't want to get all the alerts. Now, I actually do keep a secondary Discord, the actual server account open to where I see everything constantly. I kind of monitor the server as a whole. Um, but I see my personal account sees the server how everybody else does. Yes, I'm a moderator, but I see the server as everybody else does. I do have that level access though. But going in, so I don't want to see necessarily all this stuff. But I'll come in and I'll just kind of glance and see, okay, well, what news is going on? Same time, I can jump up here. Oop, I don't have that on yet. I did forget to turn that on. The student role, I'll come in and I'll browse and see what people are talking about as far as actual crypto. So, I mean, there's different linkings there. So, obviously, you saw before, I didn't have the student on, so I couldn't see this whole section where people are talking and learning crypto, in which I only had access. There was a glitch I wanted to point out. If y'all didn't catch that last week, I did have this on. When I first clicked it, it didn't turn off right there. I did double click it and it will refresh. Sometimes it just gets stuck because I previously selected the role so quickly, just because I'm showing it. It doesn't always happen that way, but if you do notice that, that's how you resolve it. But if I'm an actual trader, I'm only going to see the stuff designated towards me. If I want to help people that are learning and whatnot, then you go to that trading role or that learner educational role, and it's going to show that other section. But this is going to be strictly where all your research going to be, whether it's news, pulling up information, whatever. And there are going to be certain ones that are just going to be limited. This one is Bazinga News here, and then we have another command where it pulls up the most or the top 10 or the I think most 10 most upcoming recent FDA filings. Um, I don't know what source that's actually coming from. That may be from the FDA's website. I'm not actually 100% on that though. Yeah, you'll see multiple ones. You can come in and get a full list if there's a lot more. Um, and the list goes on and on. So come in and copy any. Oh, how about that Hong Kong dollar? Just having to click on the right one. Yeah, definitely check out those commands. Um, they all just have different ones. The biggest one really is the movers, I think. That's going to be a very utilized channel coming up. I do have it categorized for pre-market, intraday, and after hours for a few specific commands, but the biggest thing is having the popular. Um, One, it has the ability to just do our server as far as what's mentioned, but also every Discord server that uses Stockbot. So if they use Stockbot and they have the feature turned on, which is by default, it kind of tracks by the minute, by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month, by the year, etc. So you can actually go in at any time, use any of these kind of time frames. Here, for example, pop current, that's going to be showing our server. The period, or which is time, equals, and then just put any of those, month, day, week, month, year, and it's going to kick out. Uh, Type, which is the T, that is the general, and that's going to be just your standard tickers. And in fact, if you noticed, actually, I don't think, yeah, here we go. OTC, I have OTC popular on here, to where this is just going to kick out the popular OTC. Well, there was, I believe, an ability. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I think I was testing that one out, but it wasn't working yet. There was another ability that you can do OTC for specific time frames, um, and then actually change the volume on it as well. So that was another more advanced one that I was looking at. But uh, you can go in looking at time frames, beginning date to end date. Um, that's going to do all servers again because it's a popular. Um, this one's an example just for ours, for the TAT server, and this one's just like a couple days. So I think I put the test date in there for Friday through today. So just as an example. Oh, let me go. Why do I not have access to that? I'll need to fix that. Okay, I'm gonna go jump over here real quick. We're on movers. In which there's everything that was mentioned from the 6th through today. So nice little feature just to be able to kind of see through a general time frame. Just take note, the server here tells you which server you're actually in, current, specifically our server. So I could go in and take that same command and take out popular, and it kicks out those results as far as uh, what's being across all 9,742 servers. So nice little features there. Again, just some little examples. Been testing that out as far as the scans, the news coming in, any of the stock bot commands. Um, Pretty good stuff. The one thing I did want to kind of reiterate before, if I didn't mention, any of these news, these are free to use at any time. Anyone can type these in. It is going to have, again, the general news that's just automatic refresh. So within a few minutes of it being announced, as you can see here, uh, this was 150, or sorry, 250 a.m. Or sorry, p.m. Eastern time technically. So it was shortly after. That one in that case was 20 minutes after the article. But things are pretty quick. You can come in, do any of these, kind of get general ideas. Um, you can put any number after it and get that number of results. Uh, Try not to overwhelm it too much. Other than that, yeah, have fun, make use, find some trade ideas, long, short, SEC filings, all different trade styles. Um, More coming as I can, obviously, as well, but it's all accessible through the role assignments, just different trading styles as well as the news. So as you go through and turn them off or turn them on, they will appear. Yeah, that's what I got. Um,
Sweet. Looks great.
did I not? Oh, here we go. It's like, why did I not turn off? Let's see, earnings. See, some of them glitched. And for the most part, shoot, I don't remember where everything is. For the most part, everything responds pretty quickly, but it's just there is quite a few. Um, Not saying that that's the issue itself. Um, there's multiple servers in use, so we're not the only server that the bot's connected to, but um, so sometimes there can be a little bit of a delay. But again, just doing that quick little double click, as you can see that I was wondering why I was still seeing things, but the trader role. It was actually off, but just clicked it again and boom, there it goes. So keep up with the change log. Did some more changes in here. When you do have access to the channels in the changelog, these links will be active to where you can jump straight to them, but I do try to at least kind of keep them up to date um, and ongoing. So navigation video previously, there will be another one kind of more in depth, obviously, that from tonight's stream that I'll upload. Um, other than that, yeah, if y'all have any questions, suggestions, I'm all ears. I'm trying to find some more RSS newsfeed sources that I can eventually add, but right now I am kind of limited, and I've pretty much maxed out our custom command ability. I think we're up to 96 custom commands via news sources, where it's kind of funny because StockBot, the bot that brings us the news source, the limit is actually 30. I got a bump to 50, and then I got another bump to 100. So we'll see what we can get in the near future as far as being able to bring more news and quicker news, stuff like that. But kind of bringing and shaping Discord into a new form of Bazinga Pro to an extent. But granted, there's a little bit of time delay and such for charting and say volume, price, things like that. But it's good at least reference and research point. So kind of been keeping my eye on Bazinga and haven't really seen much news come through this evening.
No, I haven't really been paying attention to the news too much
I
this
haven't really been
weekend,
doing
other
the
than the
news
election.
plays.
Well, there's been some good news plays.
Oh, there
What was
definitely
it?
has been.
The HOFE was a great news play last week.
I've been more watching and learning off of those news movers. I haven't been interested in buying into the news. There was one, I think it was Monday this last week. Oh, I had plenty of time. It's like, no. But as you know, many of you know, I took the last couple weeks off just trading. I've been kind of focused on Discord, but have had other things more focused on. So this week's gonna be fun though, but not the news for me.
Awesome! I can't wait for this week, man. Really looking forward to it.
Better get
Get
some use out of
great.
those scans and charts you got there.
That's what I hope for. I'm still gonna be working on fine tuning it and all that kind of stuff, but yeah. Oh, it's gonna play, buddy. It's gonna play.
Jay, Nazarene, y'all got anything to add? Questions?
Man, I'm just
I'm
looking
all good,
forward
man.
to the
Thanks.
weed, man.
uh, right.
Hell yeah.
Biden got that bag, man.
Yeah, these weed plays and EV plays, everything that's going to be moving with him in office is going to be interesting. I don't think you were in here earlier, but I think I said it earlier in the stream, but I think there's a very good chance that we're going to see the market repeat itself like it did or how it was with last Democratic president. But we'll see.
Yeah, I
Biden's
hear
got.
that. Now everything looking good.
Oh yeah.
Y'all with the scandals, y'all on point, man. I was still just trying to learn. You see, I'm just kicking back my IIPR. I exited a little too early, but that did me all right. I just been low key with that. It hit like a high of 160 this past week. The REIT, the rates or whatever. That,
Oh
Yeah.
and there's
yeah.
another one called, it's called POW, I think. It's significant. It's like $20 or something like that. But that's another real estate play in that sector that I was eyeing. Cause I got a lot of catching up to do. I'm mad because I can't even log on to Thinkorswim from my computer. Though I remember
Uh
weeks
oh.
ago I
Oh
told you
man.
that I've tried. I can't even do it. So I still need to do a lot in the background to get even situated on the computer. But a big salute y'all when I can earn like $2-3 and 10x that I can get the donating better and all of that. I'm trying to catch
Yeah.
up. Y'all just keep smoking, man. I appreciate y'all.
Well, we've never asked
Oh
for
well.
donations, but keep on smoking, bro.
Man, somebody got to pay the bills. There's too much work going on. Come on, man. We need that. We don't gotta ask, but I'll ask for you then. Somebody do something, man. It's come on now.
uh,
Work must be worked.
yeah.
Right.
Uh, that's true.
I
Well,
big
hopefully,
big
all my
appreciation.
hard work pays off itself.
Tremendously, yeah. That's big appreciation. Like, have y'all ever heard of Mark Monroe? Anybody?
Sounds
It's an options
familiar.
trader. I was just tuning into some old YouTube clips and all, but he has a channel through YouTube called the Come Up Series. But he has a strategy. He primarily deals with options trading, but his year over year average, I heard, it's a name you should basically just really look into as far as strategy is concerned,
Hmm.
potentially in combination with the different scanners and the fundamental and analysis and all of that. But Mark Monroe is a guy strategically that I'm really tuning into, trying to learn a lot from. But he has something called the
I think that
rolling
name was brought
fours.
up before in the server. I think that's where his name's ringing a bell from. We don't have
Yeah,
as
he
many
has
people
a
doing
strategy
options
called the
anymore,
rolling
but
fours. Yeah, that's. I'm trying to double down on that as well, though, because especially if trends continue, are you alluding to,
mm-hmm.
it might be a repeat of this, a repeat of that. It might be something else to just keep, at least an earshot or remain mindful of, because if things line up that way, options wise, the percentage gains and all of that, you still have the risk involved. But one thing I like about Mark Monroe's style in terms of options, he typically plays long term options and keeps them on a rolling basis. So you pretty much end up paying yourself. It's again like a wealth of information. It's called the Come Up series on YouTube. So if y'all haven't heard of that, it might be something to just check out, as you move forward. It might be something that, would just complement a lot of the knowledge that's already been paving the way so far to just keep things on the up and up.
So I mean, that's what I was
Definitely.
talking about, man. Is that you should always be reading everything and looking at everybody and looking at what other indicators people use. Because the thing is that the main reason these indicators work is because other people are using them. So obviously, the price of a stock is go up or down or bounce off of this support level, bounce off of this VWAP, bounce off of this moving average, whatever. And the reason that happens is because other people use them. So you
Exactly.
having more indicators on your chart that don't clutter they don't clutter it too much to where it's just, overwhelming. And as long as the more indicators you can have, the more possible plays, setups that'll come to you as you're just watching the market in a 10-minute time period or a 30-minute time period or whatever. case may be, because you'll see these bounces on a big play or whatnot. You miss the news spike, but here it's dropping. Now it's pulling back, whatever. But look, it's about to bounce off of the EMA, or it might not bounce off the EMA, but that's a position that you would look for and look for a confirmation off of that bounce. And as soon as you see that confirmation, you play it and play it to a particular profit level that you're looking for. So the more indicators that you have and the more people that you read and what they're working with, is just the more, like you said, the more wealth of knowledge, more potential for you to make a good play as opposed to a bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the market's crazy. The market could go up, down. APVO was a prime example. ALMNT or ALMT last week, another one where they just kept on short squeezing all week long, or the last couple of days, at least Thursday, Friday. They was just short squeezing like crazy. You just could never tell. It could easily short squeeze down the same way. You can never predict the market, especially with how crazy it is now. So the more indicators that you have to your advantage, and the quicker you are, with a swing or a long-term play, it's a little bit different. For me, I've already talked about going the free share route on a long-term play is a lot easier to deal with emotionally for a lot of people. But if you're just playing intraday day trading and stuff like that, being able to get out, so you're playing a bounce. You're always playing a bounce off of support level or a resistance. Even if you're short, you're still playing a bounce off of a resistance level, and then you're trying to take profit before a support level. So that's the key, is knowing all those different levels, and that's where those indicators come into play. You see those levels on your chart, and as you're watching, and that's where it's important to also, I've been trying to focus. I have this huge watch list, right? Great. But I also have a top focus that that's the stock I'm looking at. So throughout the day on that stock, if the stock spikes to $7 and then bounces off that level, I'll draw a line on my screen. And that with Thinkorswim, that drawing is there always. I'm looking at that chart for the particular ticker until I remove it. So it bounced. It bounced at that point. So that is some sort of support or resistance level. And the more information you have of that, looking at a chart and trying to play a particular position, the better chance you have of that working out for you.
I agree with that. That's big knowledge right there.
Yeah, it's very important to be able to, some people don't even need to draw a line. They can just read support and resistance levels just by looking at a chart. It's like Neo in the Matrix. They can look at it, and that's it. Well, a lot of people can't do that. So having these indicators, and especially when you're starting out or you're trying to become that $1 million trader or whatever that we all aspire to be, 10 years down the road, you might be able to look at a chart and just be able to throw some money at it and make a damn $1,000, because you know what it's just looking at it. But right now, I don't think any of us are in that position. So right now, the more indicators, the more information, the more whatever, doesn't matter. Even the pumpers, they all use certain stuff. The people that pump stocks on Twitter, they all use certain indicators and teach you. Antonio Costa is great about it. Antonio Costa he's a pumper. He's part of the Zach Morris and all those other pumpers on Twitter. But he uses indicators and he shows them to you with his charts when he's pumping stuff. So it's just all knowledge, whether he's the shit or not. Those indicators and that type of information, more for you to put in your little piggy bank and figure out your own way, because that's the meat of it. If you're not figuring out your own way, man, if you just follow on somebody else's alerts or whatever, you might make $1 million within 5 years. Guess what? 5 years from now, fucking the market might change, or you might just you're following other people's alerts, so you don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, the person that you've been following this whole time, he stops trading. He stops letting those alerts go. Well, what the fuck do I do now? And you just start trying to play the market, and all of a sudden, you lose that money because you had no idea what the fuck you were doing. You were just following somebody else.
What they need to do is donate and get with the anonymous.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what they need to do.
I agree, but that's where we're trying to just spread the knowledge, spread the wealth. We're all trying to do the same.
Yep.
We're all trying new tactics, stuff like that. And that's the thing with the market, man, with the market changing all the time. I mean, even if you've been playing just since this year for COVID, and you've seen the market change throughout, the oil dropping into the negative price per barrel, crazy shit like that. The police brutality plays all of a sudden. You've seen all that stuff, all the market change, the EV plays, the market where there was just nothing going on and people are looking for something to play, so they just throw money at some bullshit. You've seen all of that stuff. So every time the same tactics aren't going to work every time. So you got to be able to have all the different ways of looking at stocks and figuring out what's really going to really going to profit and really going to make you money during a particular time frame. The more you keep studying, the more you keep trying stuff, the more you figure out stuff, what works, what doesn't, the more when the market changes, you're going to be able to change with it, within a day or two, as opposed to taking a week or two and you already miss, a lot of the solid plays and the market's already starting to change again. You got to be able to adapt really quickly. Especially now. So.
Very well put. As soon as Biden dropped that COVID bud, I'm all over that. Whatever he got going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the other thing everybody should be looking forward to. The stimulus coming out, man. That's going to make big news.
That's going to be fire.
It's going to be
it's going to be bigger than, in my opinion, it's going to be bigger than the first stimulus hitting. When that was at tax time, people were getting their taxes, they were getting their stimulus, they were ready to go. Nobody cared. People had savings. Now it is going to be, you've lost a lot of those people that wanted to become traders that just went belly up. Well, now they're going to get their foot back in. But you also have everybody that's been profitable that's going to really ride that wave, that knows what the hell they're doing. So yeah, that stimulus is going to definitely do some good. There's some badass plays.
It's true, man. Shit, man. We're going to have a lot of badass plays coming up, man. A lot of badass plays.
I cannot type.
Well, that reminds me.
I just pulled up FMK. This shit has died through COVID.
Mark announced their earnings yet, man? It's supposed to be the 10th.
Oh, that's what I was going to pull up.
Q3 earnings confirmed for 8 days from now on Monday, November 16th. Okay. Mark's earnings are in a week. Not this Monday, but next Monday.
Yep. I actually thought about that Friday morning. I think it was right in here somewhere. It was low. It was still barcoding. I was like, Mark, it had a little jump this morning.
Well,
there goes another little, 5? No, that was 10 cents almost. 9 cents.
Yeah, here would be a prime example. I mean, Mark is, I'm not recommending.
Did you average down yet?
No, I've been playing free shares.
Did you? Well, I mean, you were gonna try to average that down below it or like at $1 or something, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But this is a prime example of free shares from Mark, right? So the earnings are in a week, so expected to be really significant, so to speak. If it if it isn't significant earnings, obviously the stocks tank. Um,
Where's it got to
but
go?
you've got to expect some volatility, right? This week going up into it, some sort of volatility. And so you could play free shares. So it's going to go down to go up. And if you just played some of those spikes and locked in free shares every time, then come next Monday when earnings actually happens, you can hold through earnings because all those shares are free and it can go up or go down. It doesn't fucking matter. Even if it goes down, you're still going to sell for a profit because it's not going to go down to zero. So, but you could be holding on to, just it just depends on your liquidity. But if you're playing 10% spikes all week long, and you manage to do, $100 a day, or each trade, each 10% trade, whatever, you're looking at what, 10, 5, 50 shares or $50 worth of shares. That's not a lot. That's just a small example, but $50 worth of free shares on Mark that could, who knows, if the earnings are really, really substantial, it could go to $15. All of a sudden, you made a crap ton of money on free shares. Or it could tank and it drops below $1 and you sell them for whatever the profit is. Um, whatever, no big deal. You lost a little bit of your profit, you still came out on top either way. But that's a prime example of free shares and why you might want to hold free shares if you're skeptical on earnings, something like that, something that you think is really earnings, Peloton or whatever. Uh, nobody wants to hold through earnings. If you saw what happened to Rocket Mortgage, they had great earnings and they went down like $10 a share from 30 to 20 right after their earnings. So you never know what's going to happen. It's a prime example of news is coming that could very well spike the stock huge or not. But you don't want to take that risk because it's really a toss up, 50-50 on whether earnings pays out or not. So you just take the free share route. Easy peasy. It's just you got to play up to that point. So you really would have wanted to start playing Mark earlier to really build up your free share going into earnings.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, free shares are huge, especially if you're Nazarene. If you're emotionally, see, like there's some people that's the biggest problem with trading, and that's why there's so many books about it, psychology of trading, and the emotion tied to trading. And so, if you really want to take the emotions out of it, then make it to where that money that you have invested doesn't. So, if you're playing free shares, if you've never heard me really explain it, if you bought, let's just say Mark, using Mark as an example, but if you bought Mark at $1 and you spent $100, so you bought 100 shares, and it spiked to $1.50, right? Like it did the other day. It did twice recently, spiked to $1.50 or $1.60 or whatever. You would sell at that $1.50 or $1.40 or whatever you could sell at for the $100 amount. So you would take whatever the share price is, say it's $1.40, and you would divide $100 divided by $1.40, and that would tell you how many shares you need to sell to make your $100. So now you've made your money that you put in. So all the shares that you have left are free. You didn't pay anything for those. Those are straight off a profit.
Yeah.
So
That's how
now,
actually yeah, that what's the thing? Nano vibronics or something like that.
yeah,
NAOV. I think that's what it's actually I'm glad you mentioned that too, because that's what I ended up doing after I saw I forgot whatever filing it was when it was kind of like floating around 71 cents, and then I caught it probably like on a quick spike. But
Hmm.
now I just got my initial investment back. But that's one thing you just keep your eye on. Like, okay, now that's free. That's helping me gauge the new bottom. It's probably like about 52, 54 cents now. So if I go
Hmm.
back in, now it's already dropped all my emotion. I don't even care. Like, that's just a candy jar right there. And I think I heard you mention that before, just like how, again, it's just like money in the bank already. You
It's
just keep
basically it's a bank
leveraging your
account. And you can
capital.
sell it.
Yep.
Yeah, you can
Hmm.
sell it whenever you want to, and it's all it is straight profit. Not making any. You're not taking
Right.
any loss. You don't really care what's happened. Um, I mean, that was the thing. If you had started at the beginning of this COVID back in February or March, and you played every little tiny stock, like, and just for like a 5-10% and locked in free shares every single time, you'd be sitting on right now
Hmm.
probably like 300 tickers, 300 different tickers of free shares,
Easy.
just waiting to go parabolic. And
Yep.
one of them has got to go to $20 here. Get a short squeeze that I can sell for like a massive amount of profit on those free shares sitting there.
Hmm. That strategy. You said that patience too. That all count.
So, yep, and you can still, you can always take a little off the top, man. So you could always, sell for $101. So you made at least $1 off of that trade.
Right.
Uh, you made at least $1, but you still got $49 or whatever worth of, worth of stock for free. So, um, yeah, it's a really important strategy to understand, especially if the emotional side really uh, good at good at conquering. There's a lot of people that's the problem. Sell too early, um, or they won't sell at all.
Yeah.
So you sell too early, and it ends up spiking a lot higher. You can gain. You don't sell at all, and you're holding them because you didn't sell. You refused.
Yeah.
And you're emotionally tied to that because you're holding a bag. I could just tell you this from experience, because you're holding a bag or whatever for a long period of time, it slows down your trading. It slows down your set. It slows.
Yeah, that's actually what motivated me to get into free shares. I got real scared real quick. So now everything I wanted everything to be free. I want my $100 right back.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
this, this
you
market is
know
stupid.
you could do that real quick. I mean, you could do that on any stock, and you know whatever. It just depends on how much you put
Yeah.
in. It's going to spike a little bit, 10%, 5%, whatever. That's still 5% of free shares just sitting there waiting it, waiting for it to go, much higher or lower or whatever.
Yeah. It's
So
like generating your own tax refund.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Uh,
No, that's the big one lately, man. Especially like with APVO, man. APVO went off the chart on Thursday, right? And that wasn't even close to what it did. But if you had played it on Thursday and locked in free shares during those spikes, those huge spikes, I mean, it was huge spikes on Thursday. You would have had free shares just sitting there waiting for that spike that went to 80.
Yep. Now I'm scared. That's how I heard about it. I'm tapping in with the Discord with y'all. I just heard about it. Now I'm scared. I think I've seen the looking for the panic and all of that. I'ma just
Yeah.
watch. Like I said, unless I can get my $5 profit and get something free, I wish everybody the most success. I'm scared. I'm waiting on Biden's bud.
Yep,
Damn
you
right.
never know
That's
what.
it.
You really never know.
It's the
Yeah,
hydroponic version of the bush bud.
there it is. Green means go. That's what we
Yeah,
go or all green.
Speaking of which, I lost my lighter. Damn it, this is like the third time today. There we go.
When y'all post that, just know I'm asking for donations. I'm asking for
Yeah.
donations on behalf of everybody that want to ask. Asking we shall receive. Need
Well,
donations.
I'm really looking forward to when I can get that chart, scanner set up with the range, because like I said, the scanner I currently have for these squeezes that I was talking about, I don't know if you were in here
A
early
little
on,
bit.
but the scanner I currently have for when those squeezes come up, I mean, it only gives me a few tickers at a time, so there's usually at least one out of there that happens to be good. And I always am adding to Friday watch list or Monday watch list, whatever day it is. Every big move in stock, add to watch so I can click back to it. And it's going to show up, with the squeeze columns too, so I can easily know when it's squeezing just off of those columns. But if I can get the scanners to actually give me positive range, or ones that can actually, bounce 20%, because a lot of these scanners, I'll look at it and it looks great. It looks like a great squeeze that I would play, but the range is only like 20 cents. And not
Right.
even, so it's not even a 10% jump. So if I can get it to where I can get the range and that to work, especially with like an engulfing candle coming up, I can really fine tune it to where there's an alert where if you got the alert like me, all my alerts come to my watch because it's phone or whatever. So I immediately, as soon as that alerts that, hey, this has got an engulfing candle, it's squeezing, and it's got a nice range for you to make a good profit on, well, great. That's definitely what I'm looking. So that's what I want alerted coming to me via text message, so that it shouts at me, says, "Hey, dummy, this is one that this is one that you want to play."
Here's when you don't want to play.
But that's the beauty of all those columns that I have, the colored columns, man. That even if, as long as you're adding all of the the moving tickers, the gainers, and stuff like that to a main watch list, you can just look at your watch list and know what's squeezing. You don't have to click back and forth between each ticker to see what the chart looks like. It's right there in the columns based off of how it's color coded. And so you can already know that it's going to squeeze or it's going to not squeeze or whatever. That might be one that I want to play. So.
Yes, sir. I think it was like last month or 2 months ago, y'all introduced me to those Heinekens. I've been drinking them ever since.
Best damn thing.
No, we were talking about the hiking
That's
icy
it.
candlestick.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's it. That's it.
Close enough.
That was it. That's all I need to see. I pulled up the studies, like, where the Heinekens at? Boom, I need that one right there. Yeah, shout outs to y'all, man. Appreciate
Yeah, they're definitely so many ways. So many ways that people look at the market. I've read so many books, looked at so many different shows, so many different ways to play the market.
you.
I guess find what works for you, for your particular time and investment, whatever.